welcome to this right before Expo edition of the Pinball Party podcast. This week, as promised, instead of talking about my 5 favorite games, I'm going to talk about a handful of games that I have on my list that say, Jason, don't buy these again. Figure it out. That's not to say that I won't, or that I haven't bought it more than once, but reasons of why games might leave my quote collection, which I don't even have a collection right now, faster than others, or, just a little variety. Instead of gushing about all the most fantastic things in the last episode, let's talk about not as fantastic things. But I assure you, I'm not just going to use this opportunity to talk shit about games. Just, yeah, man, these games are the worst. Anyone that owns them is stupid. Nah, nothing like that. Because all of them I've owned for a reason. I'm not a crazy person that thinks I want to buy something that is going to make me upset. At least in pinball. We all have little dumb things we buy, but anyways, welcome back. I hope a lot of you are on your way to Chicago Expo, the Pinball Expo, the biggest one of the year, I guess, arguably. I was initially going to go, but instead we decided to check out of pinball for a little bit and go to Door County, my wife and I, which is a few hours north. So I will be in the general vicinity of a lot of you going, but I figured why not get this thing out right away so that on your way to Expo or sitting in the hotel or whatever, have something to listen to, I guess. I don't know. That's what I like. I like to listen to podcasts, clearly, because here I go making one. And hey, I want to kind of just admit / say I'm kind of stupid for, not stupid, but I've been saying lately, like, don't come here for the news. I'm not going to, it's nothing against the news. Just when I was on the Pinball Network, and I'm still very great friends with those guys, just the goal of the Pinball Network was to get all the media creators is to get everyone to listen to or engage with more Pinball Network stuff. So, hey, I'm a team player and rising tides lift all ships, and I believe that in life in general. And I will continue to say, go listen to the Pinball Show and Triple Drain for, tournament news, the kind of what's on the line, all the stuff that Zach does at the Pinball Show and all that. But to outright say, I will not talk about the news, I think is stupid. So I won't make that statement. And I will talk about news, but I'm not going to, wrap this show in, we are the Fox News of Pinball. Come here to get all your news that's all untrue or has an edge of disdain to it. So I'll talk about news as much as I see fit, I guess, or, whatever's out, I'll talk about it. So I guess in that vein, before I get to talking about a few games that I have on my list of Jason, don't buy these again. And I don't always listen to myself. We saw the Labyrinth reveal of gameplay twice, right? Because the first was like, I don't know if someone complained. I didn't. I thought it was fine. Maybe low light conditions. They released another one that showed it in a little better lighting. I have not watched each stream, with a magnifying glass and took a bunch of notes and did all that because it's, one, not a theme that resonates with me fully, so I'm not just again doing something I don't want to do, but I am taking a passive interest in it. My first impressions are that it seems a little slow playing, not like Hobbit slow floaty, but just okay on the slow side. I'm not seeing a just suddenly Black Knight Sword of Rage or Venom just like, whoa, look at that. But the theme, I don't think, lends itself well to that. The video assets, the sound, everything seems complete. It does not seem like an early spooky or even a later spooky, I guess, of like, this thing's kind of shoddy. And, again, I didn't watch each stream, just full through magnifying glass again, so maybe there's a couple things that people are like, oh, you're forgetting about this, bro. But my first impression looks good. I'm continuously impressed by the art of it, the kind of the vibe I get from it. I guess, as aforementioned, the slowness of it might fit. And it might be in the more realm of a Jurassic Park, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, where it's like, no, it's just kind of like take your time, have a little adventure, and I think there's a place for games like that. In fact, I think it's a wonderful place. So Labyrinth was revealed. We got a little teaser image of Elton John, Rocket Man, whatever. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, you know the name of it from JJP. Again, it's all rumors, but I mean, the picture, you can see in the picture, there's like records on the drop targets or stand-up targets. I don't, if there was any contention that maybe this is the Matrix, I don't think there was vinyl in the Matrix. No, there was vinyl, but there wasn't vinyl records. And records, to be clear, as in musical, the device that holds music, not recording something. And then it's colorful, Elton John, but that's a JJP anyways, right? I don't think they have a game that isn't a Rainbow Fest. Maybe they should be the ones making the black and white editions of games, like Elvira's House of Horrors black and white edition, which we haven't seen quite yet. I think, is that today? Or you're going to see it? So a very quick teaser image on the on Nap Arcade is where I saw it, of course. KNAPP Arcade. That's where you go to get a lot of that. Did they alter this image? I'm looking at it again. Did it change? Anyway, Elton John. We'll see. Steve Ritchie. The promotional shot I saw on, I think, Facebook of Steve Ritchie saying like the king is back, whatever. He doesn't look enthused. He's just kind of like, hey, yeah, fucking pinball, I guess. Like, just another one. I don't know. I don't know the guy. He makes great games, so I don't know. Maybe that's just his demeanor. I do know he plays guitar, and I've seen a video of him playing, and he's great from what I could see. So JJP, Elton John, we'll see. The theme everyone asked for, of course. They're going to be buying it. The Alien version, the Ripley Special Edition, whatever it's called, was revealed, at least the side art or, a side shot of the game. And then the topper, the Art of Pinball, the Alien Art of Pinball, Alien Topper, which looks like a topper. And if you're into toppers, it's great. But it is. I'm just like, some of the art is from like like you can even see in the promotional shot, it's from above, that you're seeing the kind of spores and the alien pods where they're coming out, and the cracks in the grating of the floor on the topper, which is all reminiscent, of course, of Alien and looks incredible. But you can't see this. You're looking up at a topper. I mean, I'm 5'7". I'm not looking down into a topper's, so it looks like it would be really cool on a desk. It's a really great piece of art, but it's on top. So if you look at it, even if you're super tall and you're looking at this thing straight on, you still can't see the details on the floor. And that just strikes me as odd, I guess. But it looks great. As far as it moving and all that, I mean, it's got lights, of course. Let's see. Let's read the features. It's $1,400 plus shipping. A moving tail, interactive with the game. Okay, that's awesome. A hand-sculpted and painted xenomorph in a truly immersive alien environment. I will agree. Immersive for sure. Multitude of addressable RGB LEDs that are interactive in game modes. Okay, yep, as you'd expect. 6 hand-painted egg sculpts that lit up and are individually interactive with game modes. This must just be a language thing. Individually controlled tubes in the backboard. Oh, God, tubes. Exactly what I've been looking for.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa, Meph! What's up? What are you doing?
Hello, Jason.
Good to hear your voice, man.
Sup?
Just making a podcast. How you doing?
Doing good.
Hearing about those tubes woke you up, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'd love to keep going, but I got to get back to this list. It was good to see you.
Good to see you too, Dad.
Don't call me Dad. Well, I know these tubes and more. If you want to buy some pinball stuff, there's really only one place to buy it if you want good prices, good customer service, and to not suck ass. And that's Flippin' Out Pinball.
When I buy my pinball shit, I buy from Flippin' Out. From toppers, art plates, premiums, I've got it figured out. flipping out, figured out. When I think of pinball, I think flipping out, figured out.
Figure it out.
When I think of pinball, I think flipping out. Bye.
All right, so aside from tubes, which I think we could have just stopped there, and I think that's worth $1,400, pinball tubes. We have flashers around the Alien Queen for a spectacular light show and effects. Quality of a collectible figurine. Limited run of 300 pieces. I assume that means of the whole topper because that's built in with... Okay. Note, beacons are optional, not included. Topper includes cover plates when beacons are not installed. Beacons can be purchased separately for Ripley version and regular. Okay, so kind of strange to come out with a topper, but like the topper also has its own separate accessories and it costs different and it's limited. A little confusing to the layperson, the topper layperson, but it looks great. No, not sure that game sells that great lately. Maybe that Ripley one they're taking a cue from Jurassic Park or some of that, and maybe they'll sell a bunch. But we'll see. In other news, the Elvira's House of Horrors, of course, the black and white is coming out, and it's gonna be cool. And guess what? I've seen some Elvira's House of Horrors up for sale in the secondary market. As someone who sold one relatively recently, y'all be asking a little too much. You're gonna want to drop that below 9 probably to get that right. Let me think. Yeah, low, bro. Not at least low 9s. It's not what it used to be. And that is actually on my list of games that I will not buy again. And that is for one of those reasons of a game that used to command such a price. It was lost a good amount of money on a basically home use only perfect condition Elvira's House of Horrors. So let's get to those just briefly because it was such a good segue. But I hope everyone's having a great time at Expo. Appreciate all the support and the continued listenership out there. It means a lot. Thank you very much. Thanks for sticking through these kind of rough times of taking a break and coming back and refiguring this out.
Figure it out.
Thank you for the reminder. And yeah, let's get into games that I have on my list, which is real of Jason. Don't buy these again. Don't be stupid. And yeah, I don't always listen to this. I'm sure a lot of us have these, temptations of don't do this again. And then it almost makes you want to, right? And pinball, man, again, a monetary heavy burden. It's a tough one because if this was just a video game hobby, a cheaper hobby, I wouldn't get any game out of here. And if they weren't, what is it square foot wise? What 3 by 5? It's like 15 square feet a thing. If you count like the space you need on the sides for the plug-in in the back or the angle and your hands for the flippers, I mean, it takes up quite a bit of space. That's just for it to sit there. And then you have to stand. So another, let's say, 5-6 square feet. That's 20 square feet just for a game that may or may not get boring. And it costs as much as a fucking used car. God. Make them cheaper, but don't make them like home pins. Or, I don't know. I wish virtual pinball was as good. It's not. But maybe all of these reasons, the monetary heavy burden, all of these reasons, or the chase, the rarity, not rarity, you know what I mean? That's what makes this fun. Maybe if you could just buy them at JCPenney's, where my goal, get these games at JCPenney's, maybe the allure would be gone. Such is life. The games that I have on my list that say, don't buy these again, for reasons. And let's just get into each. I have 5 because we did top 5 favorite last time. This is not a bottom 5 favorite. That list would be slightly different, actually very different. These are just games that may be least favorite, at least games that I've had. They may be in that category if I don't really like it. But for other reasons, maybe don't want to own it again. Let's go through the list. This is in no particular order. This is by far the least favorite game I've ever had in my house for a reason. Get out. This is just, let's get into 5. I'll just touch on the one I talked about segueing into this. Elvira's House of Horrors. This is on my list of do not, Jason, buy it again. The first reason, which I mentioned before, is losing money on this. And when I say losing money, of course I don't care about $50, $100, whatever. If we're discounting the cost of gas and traveling, which a lot of us do, if I was to give myself a price of, Jason, you're worth $100 an hour plus the gas, I'd be losing a lot more money, but I don't. That's part of the fun, the hobby of actually going to get a game. Kind of. Beyond a couple hours, that fun drops off significantly. But Elvira's House of Horrors, I owned it earlier this year. Home use only, basically new. It was perfect condition. The condition doesn't matter. It worked great. None of that. Works great. I had only played it once or twice before, and a lot of people that I knew were like, "Oh, it's so fun! It's so deep! It's a smooth shooter. It's relatively easy. It's all this, and it's Elvira, and maybe we have to cover up her tits because on back glass and like, whatever. Let's just give it a shot." It always seemed like an easy game to trade on or sell. Should I get it? So I thought, no harm, no foul. Let me play it for a little while, and it just seems like it'll be great. And within the first night, I was like, that's it. That's the game. It's an easy shooter. I guess if you compare it to Jurassic Park, maybe. It's a good comparison. Jurassic Park, Jurassic Park has some tight shots, except for the T-Rex ramp. It has a variety of shots, but you got to aim, and you really got to go. Elvira's kind of like, yeah, you'll hit it, get pretty close. I was very attracted to what are that, deadheads on the right, the graveyard thing right away. Like, oh, you backhand, that's super easy, super safe, keeps coming back to the flipper. You can basically get to that the top of the deadhead ladder pretty quick, but just backhanding it and hitting it over and over and over, which I did because I liked the humor of it. That was cool. And then the main mansion was great. You hit it a bunch, start a mode, but some of the modes were like, how many shots do I have to hit to complete this mode? I'm used to Star Trek, but this is like, geez, man, I gotta hit so many shots to complete a mode, and if you drain, that mode's over. And that kind of stuff I don't really like personally. To each his own. If they like modes that keep going in between balls, I don't. I like the mode to stay persistent until either a timer runs out or I complete it. Personal preference. But hitting the ramps, starting, I don't know. Like every shot does something similar to Godzilla. You can stack a lot. It's been a few months, so I'm not remembering it so much. Because after the first couple days, I could see, I could just get to this wizard mode by I thought that was one of the most chopping wood games I've ever played. Like, I see the end of this already. The end of it will not take, more intelligence or more challenge. It will just take time. Time of doing something that I don't really want to spend doing it. As in, all right, I can keep backhanding this thing. It's not a challenge. It's just wait. I'm waiting for gravity. So I hit a button. Okay, now wait for the physics and the gravity. Okay, do it again. And I have this this thing against wasting time. Oh my God, I'm the only person. No, a lot of us get that. But in game design, when you're wasting someone's time, like not respecting it, this is not a knock against the designers, but that's how certain games, like video games as well. The big single player PlayStation games, Spider-Man, Last of Us, and let me talk about Last of Us for sure. I get what we're going here. Can you hurry up? Call it impatience, call it whatever. I only have so many minutes and hours in a day to spend the time, like in a video game, holding forward for 5 minutes on a thumbstick and staring at a quote movie that's not written as good as a movie or a show. And I know I'm going to get back to let me move the other camera. it's a waste of time to me. To each their own. I want to be engaged. I want to be playing. I want to be reacting and doing stuff. So why I gravitate towards Iron Man or Ghostbusters or things that like keep my attention, keep me going. Yeah, are you wasting time here there? Of course, but not like in Elvira particularly. Hit it into the mansion. Okay, wait. Hit it to the junk in the trunk. Into the deadhead. But all those things added up. For those reasons, I'm out. Shark Tank style. I lost money on it. It was pretty hard to sell, surprisingly. I found it to be very chopping wood. It was a spectacle, and although, quote, people say it's deep, I didn't personally find it deep. I found it very shallow, just spread out wide. Yep. Shallow and spread out wide. All right, next game on my list of do not own again, Jason, is TNA, Total Nuclear Annihilation. I've owned it twice. The first time I owned it was the original. The second time was the CE. The CE I got at a very good deal, as in, I think a monetary, like let's take monetarily through all the trades. I'm thinking like, what did I have into it? Keep in mind, it's 9 or 9.5 new. What is it new? God, I'm Googling it. Let me, because we're just doing this. Total Nuclear Annihilation, new. It's sold out. So just even say the price. Let's just say it's a 9.5. Right, whatever. It's expensive. I think it was 9 or 9.5. I got it for like 8. So on the secondary market, in perfect condition, I was like, again, if I don't like it over time or whatever, I'll lose a little bit or I'll make a little bit. It's really not a big deal. So it felt like a free game for a little while. I lost so much money on that, and it was the CE again, all the new stuff. I lost at least 700, if not 1,000, on it. And to this date, it has been the hardest game for me to sell by a long shot. Dropping the price, advertising everywhere, you name it. It was so hard to sell. And that alone is like, I don't know, for me personally, a very red flag of don't do that again, because you might need that money for something. Who knows? And if you can't get it within a month back, that's personally one of my kind of, stipulations in a game. If I can't move it somewhat easy, it's a bad get. On top of that, speaking of shallow, but that game keeps you going the whole time. Speaking of, Scott Denisi, I've had him on the show in the past. Great guy, great music, very talented. That game does not waste your time. It does not take advantage of the player's time. It doesn't take it for granted. All that. The epitome of, hey, let's just keep going. It's coming out of the scoop. Fuck it, let's go. Come on, keep your eye on the ball. It's great. But for a game to be that hard to sell, and both times, mind you, the first time it took a long time, I had to ship it. Second time it took a long time, had to ship it, and frankly, the buyer, wasn't that great either. It got damaged in shipping, and all that stuff. Even though I wrapped it like a tight butt, it still ended up happening. So I have no complaints about the game of TNA. I think at its original price of whatever it was, 6.5, it's absolutely a fantastic game. And I think if I had a infinite space, large collection, TNA would actually be in it. But in my kind of current state of how I do this thing, 1 to 3 games, try to own, have 1 or 2 rotating, or mind you, all 3 rotating. I can't have a game that's going to sit forever, and then when I get bored of that game, I'm like, I don't need to play that for a long time. No one likes to play it, aside from me. I mean, that I have had over, even people who are like, I like hard games too. Like, yeah, let's challenge. They don't like it. But hey, that's TNA. So that's on my list. Number 3 is Attack from Mars Remake. I love Attack from Mars. I struggled not to put it on my runners-up last week on my top 5 favorite games. It was going to be either Addams Family or Attack from Mars. And if I could I can. What am I talking about? I would retroactively put this on a honorable mention list. So Attack from Mars is also on there because back in the day, playing Addams Family on location, when James or Steve or whoever was playing it, the game next to it that we would be playing, if it wasn't Waterworld, mind you, which I love to sink the D's, was Attack from Mars. It was everywhere. And Attack from Mars was my first game of, when I was into pinball, of, wow, this game is challenging and fast and, it doesn't waste your time. Except for when it's in the saucer and hurry up. But the remakes, so when I got one a couple years ago, got the mid-level trim, the SE, is that what it's called? With the bigger XL color DMD. Gorgeous game. I was so excited. I knew what I was getting into. I've played the game to death. I knew it was somewhat shallow, but still, like, it's a race car. Let's go. Let's play it. I know what I'm doing. Let's have fun. People love, family and friends, Joel, love playing it. They know what to do. It's humorous. All the good reasons. All the reasons that Attack from Mars should be where it is on the Pinside Top 100, which is always in the top 10, right? What is it at today? I think it belongs, let me see. Personally, I would, 7. Where is it at? 4. Okay, yeah. Because for me, I'd take Godzilla out of the top 10, and a Firehouse of Horrors, 7? What? You what, mate? Foo Fighters, sure. Okay. But yeah, Attack from Mars remake, why would I not buy it again? It's not because it's shallow. The flipper feel in the remakes is real. Especially Medieval Madness and Attack from Mars. There is a latency in it. And as someone who is very conscious of it in video games, latency, so conscious to where there's been times where a buddy of mine have had in the same room set up a projector, an OLED, and a plasma, all with multiple HDMIs and display outputs from a graphics card to test display and latency between that, not only that, but 2.4 and Bluetooth controllers all at the same time because of just part of the fun of it, but very sensitive to it. And if you've heard, I like very fast twitch, keep you on your toes coordination games, not slow, like, wait. Not that I don't like it, but I prefer an Iron Man, a TNA gameplay, that type of thing, of precision and speed and reaction time. Latency is important to me. And the feel, like you feel connected when as soon as you hit a flipper button and it pops, bam, like Stern, that's one of the best things about Stern games is the feel of the flippers. And why a lot of people complain about JJP in the past. Godfather seems to have rectified a lot of that. But in the remake, it is so apparent. It was so apparent the first time I hit the flipper when I got it in the house. I didn't test it. I didn't need to. And I knew when I was buying it, it's Attack from Mars. I can't wait. Like, yeah, of course. I've read online, but I thought like, oh, people are, and I'll get over it, Oh, no, I did not get over it. Not in the slightest. It was so distracting. Now, it's not like a second later of a lag. Like you hit the button and then like, bloop. It's not that. It's just, it's enough to feel it. And one of the best, going back to games, is saying testing latency between plasma and VRR and 120 hertz displays, 240, all those reasons. One of the best games to test in all that is Ninja Gaiden, however you prefer, on the NES, because that is a classic game of you need to, as soon as you hit the button, it needs to react to what you're doing. Anyway, maybe I just wanted to find a reason to talk about Ninja Gaiden, so there we go. But I felt it in Attack from Mars that there's a inherent latency of hitting the flipper. And that alone was like, well, I don't enjoy playing this game. I've played the remake and the original both in the same day within a couple hours, and just like, oh, no contest. You can feel it. It's no contest. So the flipper lag in those two, and Medieval Madness remake, but I haven't owned that, is why I wouldn't own it again. I would own an original if I knew it was in great condition and it wouldn't. Would I? I don't know. It's on my list to not at least buy the remake, but I love the game. Cactus Canyon, I didn't really notice it. Monster Bash, I don't really notice it, the flipper lag as much, but maybe it's because they're not as fast paced as Attack from Mars, or maybe there is something there. Email in if there is actually credible evidence that Monster Bash and Cactus Canyon have fixed or mitigated some of that latency. pinballpartypodcast@gmail.com. Another game on my list that I will not own again, I have two more here, is TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the pinball game. I fell in love with this game in two stages, let's say three stages. The first stage was the theme. I heard about it, like, oh, it's turtles, amazing. The second, and I've talked about this before, and I've told them, when I was getting into pinball, I took a little break and came back. During COVID, I was on my way to get my first booster shot, and I was listening to a pinball podcast called Just Another Pinball Podcast. Like, oh, what is this? Just some guy talking. How weird. And it was Joel Engelberth talking about his TMNT, his love for it, and actually I think that episode was talking about how his art and his playfield the screen print was bad, and he comes from a printing background and knew about it. Anyway, he kept me company. Thanks, Joel, on the way to get my first immunization shot for COVID-19. Remember that shit? We do, because it's fucking coming back. And it, hearing about his enthusiasm, like, oh, it's turtles, and you're like, oh, don't listen to the naysayers, the game's great. I'm like, okay, shit, all right. Thanks, Joel, I will. I went out to the pizza place in Eau Claire, Pizza Del Rey, fantastic pie. If you're ever in Eau Claire and the question is, which pizza should I get? It's Pizza Del Rey. Pizza Del Rey. They, even when I was in high school, used to have pinball machines, and they still have one or two. It's not really a scene anymore like it used to be, but they had a Turtles. I went and played a Turtles, and immediately loved the light show, loved the like, okay, I played the game, 50 cents, it kicked my ass, and okay, I like that it's difficult. A couple things I liked about it. I didn't play it a ton, and I knew that it was in the like low six, high fives. I'm talking dollar-wise, 6,559 when I was buying it a couple years ago. Searched for it, found it, whatever, got in the house, and I, after a couple games, like, I don't think I like this game. The thing I didn't like about it was the third flipper shot, the inner loop, the third ramp, you know what I mean? The warp ramp shot on the left. I could not find the timing of it. And it was by far the fastest game in my house. I'm like, I gotta sell this. I don't want this. I don't want anything to do with it. Theme-wise, I wanted it to be there. I wanted to love it. I like difficult games. I wanted to be like, nah, it's just difficult. And I love difficult games and Ghostbusters and Walking Dead. I love that shit. This one couldn't get me over the finish line. Something about it, probably mainly that third flipper shot that is so crucial to the game. It's part of like all the modes. Correct me if you want. I didn't play it enough to like be correct on what I just said, but it felt like it was very important to a lot of modes, a lot of progression. You drain during a mode, it ends something else I don't like. I'm like, man, what's the point of playing this game? You start a little bit and then there's low points and you can't hit the shots, and it does not. I mean, I just want to see, honestly, my favorite thing from playing Turtles is playing a premium or an LE and see Krang bouncing up and down, because Krang's fucking cool as shit. And if that's my two favorite things are Krang bouncing up and down and the light show. Love them. But for $6,000 to watch a brain in a machine bounce up and down and get some epilepsy in my eyes, I think I have better ways to spend my money. But even though it's on my list, that doesn't mean it won't happen, because this has been a game that I've like, oh, I might I might do it. But another game that I will not do it again. This is my on my list, my double underlined next to TNA. This is my number. If I said I wasn't going to rank them, and I won't, but this is my number one double underline. Don't do it. Is Star Wars. I've owned the Star Wars Pro. I've owned Star Wars Premium twice, maybe twice. And then Star Wars Comic Art Pro, because I thought in the end that was the best. And that was next to TNA, Star Wars Comic Pro, the hardest game for me to sell, which was strange because it was the comic version of the Pro. And I would argue, and I would think most people would agree, the Comic Art Pro is the best art package of all of the Star Wars. I think maybe Comic Book Premium for a lot of people that like the Premium better with the Comic Art Pro would be the best combination. But the Comic Art Pro is chef's kiss. The translite is so awesome in Star Wars and 80s and so good. Both the sides of the cabinet, incredible. The front of the cabinet, so good. You put the art blades on there. Oh, with the playfield. And why I got the Comic Art Pro is I don't mind the Hyperloop space thing, the big wire form, but I love the art. It's Star Wars. Who doesn't love Star Wars? But if you love Star Wars, you love it. And the art on the Comic Book Pro, I don't like it. It distracted me that it's always like covering so much. And I like the horseshoe shots on both, on the Pro. I love the speed of it. I love that it, the consistent shot of the Death Star in the Pro. I love that every time I hit it, it's going to register. Every time. One of the premiums I had, I could backhand the Death Star shot, and it was great. It would even have enough to get into the Hyperloop. The other one, not a chance. And tinkering with the screws and up and down, no thanks. So, one, I like the Hyperloop removed for a visual aspect. I like to see the playfield. Two, I like the loops speed better, the horseshoes. So why would I get a premium? If they made a Pro with an exploding Death Star, and great, that'd be perfect. So I'm just not a huge fan of the premium. Got the Pro, but after a little while, like, this game just fucking sucks. I love Star Wars, and I like hard games, but I never played it after a week. Like, every time I walk by, I'm like, this is the most gorgeous game, and I want nothing to do with it. The physics of the TIE fighter, dunk, 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 just terrible. I mean, when half the time you're plunging and it drains, and it compensates for that ball save, but you do it 2 or 3 times, like, all right. And then you just feel like it's jank. And the way it drains sometimes, it's just jank. The pop bumpers, they sound jank. For those who know, the pop bumpers, they sound different in that game. Either they're all firing at once. Something doesn't sound great about them. My orbits, the hitting the left orbit at average or fast, any fast speed in that game is normal, would make the ball whip around to the right side, come back and drain down the middle every time. Every time. So like rescuing Leia, I would save that shot for the last, and then I would hit it and it would drain. I bent the metal, I leveled it. Like, little flaws like that are somewhat unforgivable. And not having the Force in it. My least favorite thing about Star Wars is that once it's reminding you to keep the multiplier going, it's like stressful. To keep the multiplier going, you have to hit the most annoying shot in the game, easiest shot, mind you, but the most annoying, because once it hits, you hit it, boom, it's going to go somewhere you don't want it to go. To keep your points going up, you have to keep hitting that. And I don't find that fun. It's like the reverse of wasting your time. No, you have to hit this. You have to hit this if you want that score. I want to progress, but even to progress in that game, I have to deal with messed up physics, I would say, just design faults, just underutilizing a theme to its nth degree. That doesn't feel Star Wars. There's no Force in here. This game should be about being a Jedi and the Force and lightsabers, those things first, then progression to the movies, which it actually does those pretty well, I think, the modes. But the space stuff, as in flying the Millennium Falcon and X-Wing, let's say Red 5, Y-Wings, which I don't think are to be found in that game. Yeah, they're in the movie, but those aren't, other than the end of the first Star Wars, those aren't what people go to Star Wars for. Some at surface level, like big bombastic, it's about the Force and the mysticism of it, the philosophy of it. I think it should have been that. But I think hope is not lost of Stern has a great relationship with Disney. Star Wars, Ahsoka has done pretty well. Maybe not Obi-Wan, but man, the end of Obi-Wan, I think that fight between him and Vader is fantastic. I think they need to do another Star Wars. Please, but do it. I mean, Mandalorian, it's a pretty great game, but don't go niche. Don't do an Ahsoka game. Do a new Star Wars game. Again, call it Star Wars if you like. Well, we've had Star Wars trilogy. But tackle, I'd almost say the prequels. Episode 1 is a pretty cool game. But come out swinging, make a Revenge of the Sith pinball machine, please. Or remake Star Wars, or make an Empire Strikes Back, or Return of the Jedi. Or if you want to do a meme, make a Last Jedi machine and just like, meh, have that Feels Bad Man meme on the back glass and just like charge $10,000 for it. I'll buy it and make the game make it great to make up for the horrible movie that is The Last Jedi. Well, thank you for listening to me talk about 5 games I will not own again, and we will see if I stay true to that. I hope everyone has fun at Expo. I'm looking forward to all the news, the reveals. Sorry I can't be there, but at the same time, I'm happy to be going where I'm going. I'll catch up with some of you when you get back. Go listen to the Electric Batcast with Kale and Rachel. Stay tuned. I think we might be getting the band back together. A couple things soon. We'll see. Wait and see. Anyways, have a great weekend. Enjoy pinball. See you later.